So the other day over the weekend, my family and I went to go eat on Sunday. We went to this Mexican food restaurant, and they brought out the chips and salsa. Right, the chips and salsa were really, really good. And I mean, to the point where I was like, "These chips are amazing."
Were they warm?
They were warm.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah,
it's a good sign.
Yeah. So then last night for my wife's birthday, we went out with her parents and had chips and salsa, and they were pretty good, but they weren't as good as the ones of the other night, right? So then I had this idea. And I don't know if this is one of those ideas where I'm going to pitch and you guys say it already exists, like Yelp. But I was like, there should be, like, I would go eat at a restaurant if I knew the chips were really good, right? Like the other night when I ate, like if I had to go eat at the restaurant I ate at yesterday or at the restaurant the other day, knowing that the chips are good, I would go. Is there a chip app? Don't tell me there's a chip app.
You want it just specifically for chips? Because I think like on Yelp, people might share that about a restaurant.
No, but then you got to look at the restaurant. I would go to like if there was a chip app and I'd go, okay, which restaurant around me has the best chips? And I'd go, oh, and then someone would go, this has 5-star chips. Then I would go, I'm going to this restaurant and hopefully the food's good.
That's a good point.
Specific.
Because you sit there and you eat almost all the time. Like yesterday, I get full on the chips and then you almost don't eat the food.
Yep.
It's almost all about the chips. Because you're sitting there talking and you eat and you load up on chips.
But it's like you almost don't want the chips to be that good.
I know.
Because then you don't eat the
But
meal.
that's the worst part because then you load up on crappy chips.
Yeah.
No matter what, you load up. So why not load up on fantastic chips?
And I feel like if the chips are really good, the food's going to be really
I
good.
agree.
Exactly. Like the food the other day was really, really good, but the chips were better.
You might get chips from someplace that's surprising. Like to me, Chili's chips and salsa are class A.
They are
And
really,
you
really
good.
good.
You wouldn't think that Chili's is going to have the best chips and salsa.
Well, Chipotle chips. My kids love the Chipotle chips. I've never really had. And meanwhile, I'm trying not to eat chips. This is the whole point of the whole thing. Is I'm trying. Chips are not part of my program. Right? You're talking to a guy that is pushing away chips. I don't want chips, and yet I'm trying to find a way to consume chips because they're so good. You know, I'm trying to lose weight, but chips, I have to believe chips are probably one of the worst things you put in your body. Tortilla chips,
I
you
don't
know?
think they're that great for you, especially if they're salty.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
warm
sodium's going to
and
make you
whatever.
bloated.
Right. Anyway,
Yeah,
anyway, so I was dealing with that. I was coming up with ideas yesterday how to make money off a chip app.
Do you think it's because you have to wait so long during the day that everything you eat right after you fast is incredibly delicious?
I've thought about that, and some things are really, really good. Well, meanwhile, wait. So then I wake up this morning and I have this huge pimple forming on my cheek right here. But get this, life hack for you. Somebody sends me a TikTok, and you know I'm addicted to Afrin. And on the TikTok, it's how you can use Afrin for pimples. They say if you pour Afrin on your pimple, it will go away in a couple hours. So I poured a ton of Afrin on my pimple, and I'm hoping by the end of the show it'll be gone. But it's one of those pimples that hurts already.
Oh, no.
I think it's from the
Those
chips.
are the worst.
It's probably the chips because I put all that crap in my body.
Hey, this is a great way for you to get rid of your afro without using it. Like you didn't want to waste it, but now you have another use for it.
Well, that's how when I had this bottle in my by my sink, and I was like, normally I would have been like, oh, just a little drop, but I'm like, squirting it all on there.
Now you got to stop and think what's in that stuff that is both addictive if you put it on your nose and so effective that it'll kill us in hours.
Yeah.
What are you putting up your nose?
That's
And
scary.
Speaking of bad food, check this out. Also this weekend, I had a treat this weekend that I don't think I've had since I was like 8 years old. And then while I was eating this treat, I noticed, and time has gone by, that I think they've changed this treat. And I'm trying to think about other things. I had an Otter Pop. Remember Otter Pops?
Yeah.
Right? So an Otter Pop, but I don't know where we got them, but there's a huge box of them in our freezer.
I feel like they only come in the huge box.
Okay.
And there's like 100 of them.
Yeah.
And they last like a year.
But they were so tiny and thin.
I know,
right.
because I think when you were younger, you were smaller.
That's what
So
I was
they
trying to
seemed
figure out.
Bigger.
Because I'm holding it in my hand, and I'm like, man, the last time I held this in my hand, it was big and squishy. And I let the juice go out, and I was drinking it, and I'm like, there's no way it was this little. Was it this little?
It's so funny
Or was
because,
it-
like, as an adult, I got Otter Pops, and I thought the same
did?
thing.
You did?
I'm
Okay.
like, this is like a straw.
Yes, that's
This
how
is so
exactly.
tiny.
Okay,
Like, what?
I'm with you, but I'm wondering, could they have changed it and downsized? Because I just remember it being so much
Maybe,
bigger.
But then I looked at the Otter Pop and my kid's tiny little hands, and it looked big. So I don't know.
And I was like sucking down those Otter Pops like it was like an amazing childhood memory.